Hey guys, I hope that you are doing well. Today I would like to discuss the full moon in Aquarius, the most challenging full moon of the year, at least in my opinion. And to be honest with you, I almost hesitated to make this video just because I don't want any negative energy. But the fact that this full moon is pretty intense, I mean, I cannot deny it, cannot really go around it. It is going to be intense. I want to say, the first 2 weeks of August are pretty intense for a lot of people, especially fixed signs. If you want to see a picture of this full moon, go ahead. This isn't the nicest energy, as you can tell. And I have two ways on how I look at it, kind of. The first one is that something challenging, very challenging, is going to come up to the surface, and we have to face it and deal with it, right? Because full moon is conjunct Saturn. Now, at the same time, there is another idea that I have in mind, that maybe something challenging is finally going to end around this full moon. Something that's been dragging for a long time, possibly since the transit of Saturn into Aquarius in 2020, right? Or maybe the whole 2021, or maybe last full moon even in Aquarius in 2021. Maybe some events could have happened there, and we were supposed to close a certain chapter back then, but it was more difficult to do. And now we're given the second chance to close this chapter now, and we know what it is. It's something very challenging, and it's like there is no way around it, guys. It's a crappy full moon. I'm sorry. And Aquarius, I love Aquarius. Most of my friends are Aquarius. I would say like 90% of my friends are Aquarians. That's because them, and Taurus, they trigger each other. They make an aspect to each other. But when we speak about this full moon, sorry guys, but not really a nice one. But let's talk about it. Let's move on to all 12 signs and just discuss it for everybody right away. Okay, so I do want to mention though that I do talk about mostly ascendants. Okay, sometimes I will mention your sun sign, but I do base my readings off of ascendants. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind when you click on your sign. Okay, so Aries, for you guys, this full moon is happening in your 11th house, and it's conjunct Saturn in your 11th house, and it's making a square to Uranus, of course, in your 2nd house. So I feel like there is something connected to a very long-term goal, and something that you've been working on since possibly even 2020. And it's been really hard to accomplish something there. It's been really hard to make it come to fruition. It's been really hard to get into a certain community, to get into a certain group, influence maybe a certain group of people. It could be that maybe you had a really big goal, but you didn't have the resources for it. There seems to be this energy coming up to the surface. There is either an issue that's within the community that you belong to that will come up, and this issue is really affecting you. It's like affecting your self-worth in a way. So it will be the moment where you can speak up, where you can actually defend yourself, or defend a certain group, maybe defend a certain opinion. But it is in some way, it's challenging, you know what I mean? It can be an issue that comes up that makes you feel very restricted, but at the same time you're almost given this green light to let go of it, or to somehow get out of a certain environment, certain group, and you will be able to do so. I can also mention that maybe a friend could disappoint you, but it's not really something new. You've been suspecting, okay? You've been suspecting this friend, or you have been suspecting this group of people that they're maybe dishonest, they're maybe stealing money or something, So now you are going to be able to kind of put an end to it. Now, when it comes to long-term goals, I do think that there is a chance to actually finish something here, accomplish something that's been a long-term goal of yours, to receive a reward in some way. It is, however, going to be difficult, right? So yes, something can end, like a challenge, an obstacle can finally end, so that way you receive your reward, right? But at the same time, it can be that maybe you have to jump through one more hoop, or experience some kind of a conflict, before you reach this point, this final point. But you will, because I feel like you maybe attempted to do that last year and you didn't really get a chance to. So now you are going to be able to do that again. and for finally, you know, finish it and not have to come back to it anymore. For the rest of this whole transit of Saturn in Aquarius, and I feel like, you know, financially too, maybe there is some kind of freedom coming. And you've seen it coming, but you couldn't quite touch it, you know, and now it's slowly but surely coming towards you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi, Taurus. So you are affected. You're affected by this as much as the rest of the fixed signs. We're all affected, okay? I'm a fixed sign as well, twice. Okay, so full moon is happening in your 10th house, conjunct Saturn, retrograde Saturn, and it is also going to square Uranus in your first house. There is definitely this battle, you know, needing to break free, needing to change something about your life, about your actions, about your approach towards your status, your career, your public image. There is a need for change, and you feel maybe for the last year or so, maybe longer, you feel like you weren't able to really transform yourself. You weren't able to really show yourself, maybe shine in some way, right? You felt like you were developing certain individuality, like you were growing, right? You were growing spiritually, you were growing in many different ways, but you couldn't really express it. You know, you couldn't really use it. You couldn't apply it in your career, for example, or apply it in your relationships. Like, it's been tough, you know? It feels like Eight of Swords from Tarot, if you think about it. But now, you know, with this full moon in Aquarius, and this is kind of the last challenging full moon in Aquarius, you know, because eventually in March, when Saturn moves out of Aquarius, we're not gonna have to deal with this. But, you know, as of right now, this is just one more challenge, one last challenge, something that you're very well aware of. It's finally coming to an end, and I feel like what this could be is you having to almost showcase your talents. You may be going to an interview where you have to really prove yourself, and it doesn't have to be a job interview. It can be any kind of interview, like immigration interview, for example. It can be something where you are intimidated. You know, there are authorities possibly to deal with, but you know you have to do it for your status, for your future, for the way you're perceived in the world, like how you're seen and what you are in this life, what you are in this world, what you are in on your career path. All of these factors are going to come up, and I do believe that this is what you're going to be focused on. Now, what else can I say here? There can be a conflict between you and a parental figure or somebody that you look up to, okay? So maybe an authority figure, but someone that you're not necessarily scared of, you know, but someone that you just respect and look up to. There can be a conflict there, so I would watch out for that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Gemini. Hi, Gemini. So for you, this is a little bit of easier energy, okay? Because, I mean, Aquarius likes you. Not that it likes you, it makes a trine to you, you know, it's a fellow air sign. So full moon is in your 9th house, conjunct retrograde Saturn there, and it is squaring your Uranus in the 12th house. I feel like some situation, if you are involved by any means with anything international, anybody international, there can be an issue that comes up regarding the distance. Either, you know, the distance needs to be shortened, the distance needs to be extended, and to some extent there is like a bother, you know, something's bothering you, that either someone is at a distance or something's at a distance, or you have to be at some point at a distance. It could be, you know, a little bit of a restless energy, a little bit of anxiety connected to either travel or some kind of distance. And I believe that this full moon could finally show you that this can be overcome. The distance can be overcome. The issues abroad can be resolved finally, right? And it could be something that's been a pretty long-lasting impact on you, you know, since 2020, since 2021, easily since last full moon in Aquarius, really, in 2021. You could have tried to finish something then, but you weren't able to. Too many restricting energies were happening, and now you can around this full moon. So maybe, you know, there is a certain cycle coming back around, but it's coming back around to finally be done with and not have to come back to it ever again. A legal case. Something new can also come up about the legal case that you might be involved in. Might be, okay, not everybody is, obviously, and I'm aware of that. You know, you could feel anxiety about it at first, but again, this is that last step to finish something finally, once and for all, and to calm down and to be able to relax and move forward. But it can be felt a little bit you know, in a challenging way at first, and you know, yeah, I mean, you can't really avoid it, even though, you know, it's really influencing you nicely. It's still a challenging full moon within itself. So that's just something that I would be, you know, aware of. And also education, maybe, you know, there is an issue connected to your education. It's like it's coming around again to face. Maybe there's an exam that has been test exam, right, that you've been needing to pass. You know, finally that's the chance to do so, and it's maybe scary, and you're not confident in yourself, but yet you go and do it. And yeah, I think that that's pretty much it. Dear Gemini, thank you so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Cancer. Hi Cancer. So for you guys, full moon is happening in your 8th house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it is squaring Uranus in your 11th house. I feel like there could be some secrets coming up about a certain community, about a certain group of people that you're involved in, about a certain person also who has been kind of, who you've been favoring. You know, you have a decent connection, but at the same time, you know that there is something behind the scenes, that there is something underneath. You know, it's not all that simple, because 8th house is never simple. And yeah, something may come up, and it's usually something about the past, something from the past with retrograde Saturn, and it's shocking, but at the same time, it allows you to break free from a certain environment that other people put you in. Okay, because 11th house, it's like you're a prisoner of some kind of a community, a prisoner of a group, a church, you know, something. So this truth, possibly, this secret that may come to the surface, allows you to break free, allows you to go and choose your own direction, allows you to just be you rather than belong to that group. Or to change a group, right? To maybe connect with someone that is more trustworthy, someone that aligns with you more. But also, full moon in the 8th house can talk about resources, can talk about finances, and 11th house, instead of friendships and communities, can talk about long-term goals and rewards. There may be a reward that's actually coming up. It's not something that you kind of worked for it, you kind of earned it, but at the same time, it's more like a gift coming, and it's coming through a challenge. You know, for example, I don't know, inheritance. Maybe you had a battle over property. Well, I think it is being solved, and I think it's being sold in your favor, but through a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you are seemingly receiving the reward, but through stress, through anxiety, through some sort of a depressive episode. Not just you specifically, I'm talking about the energies around the 11th or 12th of August. So, you know, this is kind of difficult. You know, this is difficult, but it needs to be done. If you don't want to deal with this property anymore, if you don't want to deal with this group of people anymore, if you don't want to deal with a specific person, or if you have a long-term goal that you need to finally achieve somehow, just go along with this, because while it may feel challenging at first, it's actually finally going to be done. Because it could be that maybe last year you were given a chance to finish this, but something went wrong. You know, Saturn Uranus square was so intense last year, so maybe it didn't quite work out. Well, now this is the second round, I should say, if not third, and you can get it all done now and not have to worry about it anymore. So yeah, maybe also if you have a partner, like a business partner, marriage partner, there could be some major changes actually happening in their financial life. They could quit a job, they could get fired, they could receive some kind of inheritance or reward. It could go either direction, but the news is shocking. The news is shocking, or the developments are shocking, connected to this particular situation, if it resonates with you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Leo. Hi Leo, I hope that you're doing well. You guys are bombarded by all these beautiful T-squares this month, right? So one of them is, of course, full moon in Aquarius in your 7th house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it's also squaring Uranus in your 10th house. Woo! So people, how people relate to you, how you want to relate to people, what you want to be, who you want to be. Do you want to guide someone or you want to be guided? There is conflict between your relationships and your image, your public image. It's like you want to make progress, you want to make a lot of changes, but there's something stopping you. You know, there could be a lot of negative people around you that are just holding you back with that retrograde Saturn. It's like the negotiations, the certain contracts have been just frozen for a while. You know, they can't move forward. They can't be denied, nor they can be approved, nor they, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of stagnation when it comes to dealing with other people, especially if it's official kinds of relationships where signatures have to be, you know, papers have to be signed and so on. So that particular energy influences your status a lot. You know, it's like if that's not done in the 7th house, then the 10th house stuff isn't done either, meaning that, you know, if I don't cooperate with others or others don't cooperate with me, then I cannot make progress in my status and my career in this role, right? New role or some kind of a title in the world. And I feel like this situation has been long lasting. It's been maybe really in your face last year around a full moon in Aquarius. And now this is the last round when this is energy, this toxic, you know, anxiety full energy is coming back, okay, to face, to deal with, and to be able to break free. I believe that you're no longer going to be bothered by whatever is, you know, bothering you, because you will be able to break free. You will be able to solve this issue once and for all. It could be that the contract can shift, actually, it can shift its direction. It can finally be somehow approved, or it can be broken, okay? It could also be that a very important relationship in your life will take a different turn, which may result finally in some kind of recognition for you, in you moving up, changing your status, changing your environment possibly as well. But I would be very careful around this full moon in terms of just communication with other people, you know, not even the ones that you're buying by contracts, right? It's more like just your family, your friends, your loved ones. You know, you could be somewhat agitated, you know, frustrated around this time, very easily annoyed. So I would just watch out for any conflicts that could be happening. But overall, I think this energy is needed. It's uncomfortable, okay, but it's there to finally be done with. I find that, you know, this is that last round. It's a challenge, but it's the last one. And after this, we'll deal with other BS, okay? But we won't necessarily be dealing with this anymore. So I think some story is coming to an end here for you, for Taurus, for Scorpio, and for Aquarius. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi Virgo. So for you, full moon is happening in your 6th house, and it's conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it's making a square to Uranus in your 9th house. There is this daily activity that you've had for a very long time, and it's on repeat. It's the same for a long time. It feels very stagnant. It's really bothering you because, you know, you're able to see those bigger horizons. You're able to see, you know, something really nice and positive, but it's so far away. You can't touch it. You can't even look at it because whatever this is, this restriction in the 6th house, right, in your daily life, whether it's your work schedule, whether it's your obligations, whatever that may be, it's like eating you, gosh, I don't even know how to say alive. I mean, I'm not trying to be too, like, dramatic here, but, you know, it's putting you in this Eight of Swords kind of energy, if you're familiar with tarot. So I feel like with this full moon, something here is shifting. Something here is shifting. Maybe there is a responsibility that you have, and that responsibility is required around the 11th, 12th of August, right? You are responsible for something, but yet you're not just responsible for it, you are able to complete it somehow. You're responsible for completing this. So that way, you know, moving on into the next 6 months, even next year, you don't have to worry about this anymore. You don't have to worry about this job maybe that is very like strict, and there is horrible home life balance, work life balance. Oh my god. Yeah, so you know, it's like it might be just terrible, you know, but there is something coming to an end here. However, you need to gather all the strength, okay? Because like there's still a lot to deal with, you know, there is still something challenging to deal with, but you're close, you're almost there. Because maybe last year, you know, there was an opportunity that came around to kind of mix up your schedule somehow. There was like a interesting thing or a person or something came up on the horizon that you really liked, but you couldn't really get through to it because the responsibilities were holding you back, you know, the obligations were holding you back. But now you can. Now you can step into it, you know, now you can kind of get closer after this full moon. Not during, but after, because this craziness needs to end first, and then things are going to get easier. And I would say that they're going to be definitely easier after March 2023, okay? Well, for some, I guess. I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, Saturn is going to move into your 7th house. But I mean, I find that energy to, you know, maybe be very good for collaborations and for contracts and so on. But, you know, while it's in the 6th house, it's making you work like a animal, you know, and you just, you don't want to do that anymore. So I feel like, yes, some kind of a challenging situation at work may come to an end. A schedule is going to shift somehow. It's going to liberate you, so that way that horizon that you've been seeing can actually become your reality now. So that's what I think about this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Libra. Hi Libra, hope you're doing well. For you, this energy is more, I want to say mild, you know, and that is like me sugarcoating, but you know, the full moon itself is very challenging. For you though, it's gonna be felt a little bit easier. So it's happening in your 5th house, and it's squaring Uranus in your 8th house. If there are any kind of intimacy issues that are holding you back from forming some sort of a, I don't know, healthy partnership, or you just can't open up, right? Because Saturn is in your 5th house. You have a hard time expressing yourself, have had a hard time expressing yourself. It's like there's so much that you want to do, and not just in the world, but also within your relationships, within your very close relationships. But you can't. Something has been like restricting you, something has been stopping you. And it could be taking a toll on different relationships that you have in life. And now this full moon in Aquarius may actually liberate you from this prison that Saturn is putting you in. It may be an issue that comes up regarding your love life, regarding maybe your potentially intimacy issues, if somebody has that. There is like a conversation to be had, a very deep conversation, and it's almost in a way unwanted. Like you don't want to have that conversation, but something is just going to happen. Something is going to lead you to have that conversation with someone, where you're able to start kind of breaking free. You know, you're going to understand that the relationship that you may have in your life, you can trust. Or maybe not, you know, for some, maybe not. Because there is a completion coming in the area of romance. And it could be that maybe your relationship will take the next step, but maybe it's just going to be over. You know, because full moon is not just showing, like, shining light onto the situation. It's also completing things. So I don't know how exactly it's going to end, but I think that there will be some major turning point in your relationships. Some people may become partners, right? And you may start actually trusting them and sharing with them, while others may just be out of your life. Because to you, it's important to have that closeness, to have the depth, and maybe some relationships just don't cut it. And it is a situation that you've already been dealing with, okay? It's not something new, because, you know, there is also retrograde Saturn involved. It's an issue. It's not just something fun, okay? It's an issue that's been lingering for a while, and maybe last year you had an opportunity to complete it somehow around the full moon in Aquarius last year, 2021, right? But you couldn't. Something just didn't work out. So now it's coming back around to be dealt with again, once and for all, because there's not going to be an opportunity like this again. And yeah, I do believe that you will take it. Now, for those of you that have children, if there have been some kind of issues with children, maybe having issues conceiving, for example, I think that's all going to be solved after this full moon for sure. Any issues with children, but also any issues with conception. Yeah, I think that you'll be able to move to the direction that you've been needing, that you've been wanting to move towards. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio. So you guys, I feel for you, okay? Just like for every fixed sign, because I am a double fixed sign. So we've got full moon happening in your 4th house, conjunct retrograde Saturn right there, and it's squaring Uranus in your 7th house. I feel like there is a need to break free. There is a need to change something in your living conditions. Now, it doesn't mean that it's just your parents and you arguing possibly around this full moon, which actually could manifest very well. It could manifest with any family members, you know, any arguments could be had with them. Yes. On the other hand, this is just your living conditions, like how you want to live, what kind of environment you want around yourself when you come home from work, or in case if you work from home. You hope for a specific conditions. I don't know. You want to live some type of way, a certain way, and you will be able to actually start making steps towards it. Okay, through conflict, because it is making a square to your 7th house, meaning that, you know, maybe your partner, your romantic partner, maybe someone that you deal with, maybe your colleagues or friends or enemies, I don't know, someone there is going to like open their mouth, you know. However, the living conditions that you are changing can actually lead to new developments in your relationships. It can make you feel more free in terms of your relationships. You know, sometimes we're like trapped in all of these different relationships, and I'm not just talking about romantic, you know, it's anything. It's like trapped, connected to someone through work that you don't really want to deal with, but you have to, connected to someone through family. And in this case, you know, I feel like there may be a conflict that may potentially arise either between people, you know, that you are with or are friends with or you work with, or even your family members. Or this can be some kind of a step that you're going to make within that living environment, everyday environment, where you live, right, where you are feeling the most secure. So that way it does influence your relationships in a better way. You know, yes, it could be selling a home, it could be buying a home, it could be renting something out, it could be moving. It could also be overall your status changing. Your status changing, you may be having a hard time adjusting to it. Maybe people in your circle may have a hard time adjusting to it. But you're finally able to feel liberated after this. You're able to be free. And, you know, this year you have to kind of work with the energies anyway. You have to give up certain things, certain patterns. And I feel like this one is not necessarily about giving up, but not holding on tightly to something, just allowing it to go away if it needs to. Because really, if you keep holding on to something here, it's not really gonna do any good. Trust me, not in this full moon. Any other full moon maybe, just not this one. So I feel like through a challenge, you are changing your environment in a way that's better for you, that feels more liberating. Maybe you're going to start working from home, maybe you're starting like a home business, you know, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what others think in the 7th house. What matters is whether or not it makes you happy. And I think you're doing things this year, and you're gonna start feeling much better after this full moon, really. You tried last year, possibly. It didn't quite work out, okay? You're doing it again now, and most likely this time it'll work out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi, Sagittarius. So for you, full moon is happening in your 3rd house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it is squaring Uranus in your 6th house. So there could be finally some sort of completion of documents that allows you to work, or allows you to receive a promotion, allows you to move on to the next step in your work environment. There seems to be tension connected to it though. For example, you know, the documents that you were waiting for, it's been taking forever. You know, it could be that you've been really stressed regarding what is missing for you to improve your qualifications somehow, for you to maybe receive that training, complete that training, for you to, you know, maybe, I don't know, finish some kind of certificate so you can apply it at your job. There were delays there. It's almost like there are constant delays when it's connected to dealing in the like daily environment, you know, needing to, I don't know, go get some paperwork, needing to learn something, needing to go somewhere, take a trip. You have possibly been experiencing difficulties there, delays there, papers get lost constantly, things have to be redone, you know, because Saturn likes repetition. You may have had to redo many different documents, many different things. You may have had to repeat some kind of education as well, or maybe it was just really hard for you with your crazy schedule and stuff. So I feel like you are setting yourself free to some extent. You're finishing something in the 3rd house, whether it's paperwork or maybe some kind of education or something else. You're finishing that up. So you're able to kind of apply to either your work or your schedule overall, to ease your schedule. Because there seems to be a lot going on, but it also comes to you with anxiety, you know, because things are changing and things may feel a little uneasy with the way they're changing. But I mean, you're mutable, you will adapt to the change just fine, you know, it'll be fast. And also the fact that this has been a thing, you know, this isn't something new that you're dealing with. I feel like maybe there was an attempt to finish education, for example, or to get some kind of paperwork in order last year around full moon in Aquarius, but it didn't work out. So now this full moon in Aquarius is kind of like the last challenging one, because soon Saturn is going to move out of Aquarius. I mean, it's going to move to the sign that it's going to square you from, but still, you know, we're currently dealing with a fixed energy, with the fixed T-squares. So at least this full moon is no longer, after this full moon, this certain themes, right, that this fixed energy was bringing up in the last year or so is no longer going to be dealt with. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, your health. Okay, there is a diagnosis that you could finally receive around this time if you've been waiting for one. It may or may not be great, but it is at least something that you know, and something that you're able to use to your advantage, obviously, find the right treatment and so on, okay? Could be shocking results for some, you know, for others it could be expected, but it's like, well, what do I do now, you know, to make this better? This energy is more like level-headed for you, not as chaotic as for a lot of other signs. So I think you're lucky here, honestly, and you shouldn't be receiving anything crazy like and dramatic, you know. I think you'll be fine. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn. So for you, you've got a full moon in Aquarius in your 2nd house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and squaring Uranus in your 5th house. So, well, there could be a a certain source of income, right, that has been there for a couple of years and it's been challenging to make it work. It could be that there is an issue connected to the source of income. Maybe you just don't like making money that way, right? Or maybe you want to change something, but Saturn has been there and since 2020, and it's been restricting you. It's been making it hasn't been making things easy there, you know, to make money or to keep money, or maybe, you know, the sources of income that you have had, they kind of keep you stuck in a certain field of work. Maybe, you know, you're not necessarily able to break free and experiment with other jobs, for example, other sources of income, because you're so reliant on this. But, you know, full moon in Aquarius, actually what's interesting is that I don't think, like, when I just look at, you know, second house Saturn, then I look at fifth house Uranus, it almost makes me think like a person is gonna quit their job so they can go have fun. But obviously it's not about you. I mean, it could be about some of you, but I don't think it's that easy here. You know, it's more complex than just changing your source of income and going and having fun, going on vacation. I mean, of course it could manifest that way, don't get me wrong. But I feel like there is something here that's coming around after this full moon that's actually more genuine, and you're able to express yourself through that a lot more. It could be even, yes, it could be even a source of income. It could be a job, like a new job opportunity that is coming up that is actually a lot more suitable for you, you know, because it's something new, it's something that you've never tried before, something that you're not very familiar with, and you want to move towards it. And I feel like, truthfully, this is the last time this challenge is coming up. You know, you may have to kind of reorganize your finances once and for all, and take a step towards something that you truly want to do, and something that will allow you to express yourself and allow you to maybe, I don't know, work from home or do something that you love for work. But it comes through a challenge because there are obligations there. Old obligations are coming up with this full moon to be dealt with once and for all. And you could have tried, you could have attempted maybe to start your own business last year, you know, but it's been slow. It's been stagnant. But now I feel like this energy is coming back around to be dealt with once and for all. Not once, but for all. And you no longer have to go back to it. And I find that to be absolutely amazing. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius. So you guys, I feel bad, you know, for you, for all the fixed signs. We've been in this trap for a long time, and this full moon is happening in your first house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it's making a square to Uranus in your fourth house. Well, you've been working really hard, I think, on your independence, on your individuality. You want to be different. You want to prove something to the world, you know, that things can be different, that things can be a certain way, and that's not the way that they're used to. You've been very goal-oriented. You've been very career-focused, possibly. You've also had lots of obligations, and maybe you had a hard time shining bright, right? And I feel like this is the time when this is big for you, like it's karmic for you. You know, Saturn has been in your first house for a reason, or just not even your first house if you're Aquarius sun. It's been in your sign for a reason, right? It was your turn. It was your turn to mature. It was your turn to grow up. It was your turn to, you know, experience what's it like to have all these obligations and all these restrictions and obstacles to growth, right? And now you're able to kind of prove yourself. You know, you've been trying throughout 2021, 2020, you know, 2022, you've been trying, you've been working hard. It has not been easy. You've had many obstacles, but now you're able to break free because this energy is no longer going to be present. You know, once Saturn moves into Pisces, Eight of Swords energy, you know, and this is how I'm imagining this full moon. Like, it's kind of like Tower and Eight of Swords married together. I feel like you will be able to actually break free and shine somehow, break free and prove to authorities maybe what you're worth and what your title should be, what your status should be. It's also about maybe finally solving a certain issue with your family. You know, for a lot of signs, this energy can just be felt as just like a regular full moon. Yeah, they might like argue with someone on that day, right? But that's basically it. For you, it may feel like an eclipse. It's a very strong energy, you know, it's energy that is beneficial for you. It's breaking you free of certain chains, because you haven't just been sitting around, you know, in the last couple of years. You've done all the inner work and you've done all the outer work, like in the world and on your career path, possibly with certain responsibilities. You've been really maturing. You've been building up strength. And now with this full moon, it's almost like the higher powers are kind of glancing at you and are like, well, are you ready or not? You know, and most likely you are ready, because this is the last super challenging full moon in Aquarius like this in a little while. So I believe that you are going to be able to break free somehow and start creating the life that you want for yourself. You know, fourth house is our living conditions, our private life, the life that not everybody sees, but the life that matters to us most of all. You know, this is what's most important, that it matters to us, this life that nobody sees. And that's what you're gonna be focused on building, okay? On a very simple note, yes, it can bring arguments with your family members, because you are you, you're stronger, you are this individual, right? You're entitled to do certain things in life for yourself, but your family is like, no, you shouldn't, you know, you should listen to us, or why are you trying to sell this property, you know, don't, or why are you trying to move, why are you trying to go to school for this, you know, it's like, why are you in this relationship? There can be some conversations, arguments coming up that are kind of unpleasant, but you know, I find that you will be able to overcome it all. Like I said, Saturn has been in your sign for a reason. It was your turn, and you'll come out of this regenerated, maybe with a little bit of anxiety, yes, but at the same time, regenerated. And, you know, it seems almost like around this full moon energies, the build-up is going to be so high, it'll reach its peak, and then there will be a huge drop. And you may feel exhausted, and I suggest you rest. I suggest you meditate. I suggest you relax, you sleep, because it can feel intense. Okay, but thank you guys so much for watching, and now I'm moving on to Pisces. Hi Pisces, I hope that you are doing well. So for you guys, full moon is happening in your 12th house, conjunct retrograde Saturn, and it's squaring Uranus in your 3rd. Whew. Anxiety, fears, all of that is gonna reach its peak around this full moon. Everybody could be anxious for different reasons. You know, some people could have something important going on in their life that is really driving them crazy, you know, and it's like they cannot see the end of it, and the fears are haunting them, and so on. For others, it could be just anxiety overall that is almost subconscious, and you don't even know where it comes from. It just does, you know, it's like a condition almost. I feel like there is something here that may come up that, you know, can trigger that stress, that can trigger that anxiety, that can trigger sleepless nights. But it's something, you know, it's something that's connected to our day-to-day environment, something that's connected to what we're used to seeing every day. You know, when Uranus, when Uranus moved into my 3rd house, I was living in a different town in an apartment. I was renting an apartment, so I wasn't really noticing anything. But once I moved into a house, you know, I started noticing so many ambulances in the neighborhood, cops in the neighborhood, you know, because we do have a lot of like elderly people here in the neighborhood, so you know, they get sick all the time. So it's like I've been seeing all these ambulances constantly in the neighborhood. This is such Uranus in the 3rd energy. It's almost like, oh my God, who today? You know, who is gonna go to the hospital today? I described it like I'm living in some kind of a nursing home situation, but no, not really. But you know, those of you who live in the residential areas, you know. So, but it's just I wasn't prepared for that, you know. It was like shocking to me, like every single day, you know. And I feel like, you know, this can be something chaotic happening in your day-to-day life, and you have nothing to do with it, and you can't do anything about it. And this full moon can drive you a little crazy, but it's all mental, it's emotional, it's hidden. You could have a completely, you know, calm face, but inside there are all these emotions going on. There's a turmoil, there's anxiety, there's lack of sleep. So this is definitely a very important time for you to ground yourself, to calm yourself down somehow, to meditate, to, I don't know, go to the woods or something. Me and my brother are actually planning to do that because I'm traveling home in a couple days. Actually, that's why this video is kind of short. And you know, we're planning to go into nature. We're planning to visit some places where people worship you know, Slavic gods. Yeah, like we've got a tour, you know, there, and it's a very different tour from what you could be expecting. I want to go into nature, you know. I want to calm my nerves, because Saturn in the 12th house is no joke, and Uranus making a square to it from the mental house, you know, Gemini house traditionally, is also no joke. Our mind, our emotions, our subconscious is like upside down completely. Now, how else this can manifest? An end to a challenging trip, an end to a challenging situation connected to faraway land. I mean, I'm traveling, you know, soon, and basically by the end of by the time the full moon happens, I'll get to my destination. So I'm prepared, you know. I'm prepared for different hiccups and stuff. But yeah, that could be it as well. But I think mostly it's our own fears that are trying to control us. But the good thing is that this is the last time. If the situation does come up that needs to be faced, something that has been bringing you that anxiety, if it does come up, yeah, it has to be faced. But once you face it, the situation is no longer going to be relevant. Because when, you know, we are thankfully approaching the end of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, meaning that once it moves out in March into your first house, but that's a different story. It will no longer impact you this way. It will no longer impact you from the 12th house. You're ending a cycle. You're ending a major cycle right now in your life. And it doesn't come without a challenge, right? But I feel like you're going to experience such relief after this full moon. A challenge will be over, I think, honestly, for Pisces. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you at my mom's house in a few days. Bye-bye.